Hi, I'm Melanie, personal trainer, nutrition coach, and creator of Female Fitness Systems. My mission is to help you become your strongest self at any age. Today, I'm showing you how to use the cable machine with tons of advice that's going to make it feel a whole lot better for you. And later on in the video, I'm going to show you my favorite way to make exercises feel better and more effective, so make sure you stick around for the full video. The first thing I'm going to do is quickly run you through the basics of the cable machine. At the gym, you're going to see different types of cable machines. Some will have columns closer together like mine, but some are going to have the columns wider apart, and some will even have long arms that extend out like a Y. All of these machines work well for everything I'm about to show you. When you use a cable machine, you start by adjusting the height of the cable attachment, which you can move up and down, and then you're going to attach whatever handle that you want to use. That's pretty simple, but let's talk about the weight stack because that's where a lot of ladies get confused. So when you look at a weight stack, you're going to see numbers. On mine, you're not going to. That's because the numbers on the weight stack don't mean much. And in fact, I've chosen to leave mine off because I think it looks nicer without them. At the gym, usually they're going to show you an amount of weight. But as I'm about to explain, you aren't really lifting that amount of weight. So you really don't need to understand this, but very quickly, what happens with most cable machines is that there'll be something called a 2-to-1 ratio, which means that the weight that you select will feel half as heavy as the actual weight. So for example, if you set the machine to 50 pounds, the resistance you're going to experience will only be 25 pounds. This happens because of the pulley system, which reduces the load by half. But that it might not even be really accurate. So that's why I say it's best just to judge your progress based on the machine you use and don't try to figure out how much you're actually lifting. So for example, if you lift 25 pounds on an exercise on the cable machine, it's highly unlikely that you're going to pick up the dumbbells and do something similar with the same amount of weight. They just aren't going to equate. So just judge your progress based on your cable machine and don't worry about how much you're trying to lift. But of course, if you are tracking your progress in an app like my training app, then write down the weight on the weight stack as a way to remember. One thing that you should know is that regardless of the numbers showing on your cable machine, the cable machine in general is going to feel really heavy for most women. And that will be especially so for exercises like side raises and rear delt exercises because we just don't tend to be that strong. But also, I bet if you watched a lot of guys training at the gym, you would find that they aren't using that much weight on those exercises either. So I wanted to mention this because I get asked this all of the time, and it's very normal to only use the first or the second weight in the weight stack, so don't worry about that at all. And one thing you can do if your gym has multiple cable machines is go through the gym and try them all to figure out if one feels best for you, because often different cable machines will feel better in terms of smoothness, but also in terms of how the weights increase. And if you can find a machine that seems to increase in smaller increments, that can be really helpful, especially if you're trying to go up a level for something like a shoulder exercise. Now, what I really wanted to talk about today, which is going to completely change how you train, is the attachments. The first thing you should know is that often many exercises are going to feel much better if you don't even use the handle and grab the little ball instead. If you do this, you're going to have a better grip and control, but also this can feel much better on your wrists. Rear delt flies is one of the best examples of this, and many of you may already do this, but I wanted to mention it because this can feel so much better. However, I've got an even better way of doing things. At the beginning of this video, I promised to show you my favorite way to make exercises feel better, so that's what I want to do now. What you're going to do, instead of using a handle, instead of using that little ball, is you're going to use a cuff. The same sort of cuff that you would use for training your legs on a cable machine. And a really good example for how you can use the cuff is something like a side raise. Now this is usually done with a D sort of handle, which is okay, but often you'll feel this in your wrists and your elbows. And when you use a cuff, you don't actually have to grab any handles, which feels way better for your hands, your wrists, and your elbows. I promise if you try this, you are going to absolutely love this. I've recommended this to so many ladies who have elbow pain when training, and it's an absolute game changer. And you're going to feel your muscles working so much better, which of course means you're going to get better results. Thankfully, I have my own cable machine now because I am always trying to use my cuffs in all sorts of different ways rather than hanging onto the handles. And I'm sure when I trained at a commercial gym, people thought I was crazy. But one of the most important things when it comes to training is making exercises feel good for you. And everyone is different, so you should always play around with angles and attachments to make sure that you have no joint pain, but also that you connect with your muscles as best as possible. So don't be afraid to play around with this. Whenever I can, I use a cuff instead of handles, and I'm always playing around trying to figure out how I can use it. Now, what I wanted to also mention today is that if you have those bigger ankle cuffs, those ones with lots of fur or padding, which you're often going to see in commercial gyms, or maybe you have one for doing leg work, they aren't going to feel right on these exercises. They're just a bit too big and bulky. What you want to do is get a cuff similar to what you see me using in this video. And if you are a client, I actually have a link to these in my Amazon shop when I send that around to you when you first sign up. So you'll find the one that I use there. However, the brand that I'm using that's shown in this video is really common, so you'll be able to find it with just a quick Google search. And the really cool thing about the one that I'm using is that it's solid enough for leg exercises too. So if you only want to be carrying around one cuff, then you can get something like that, and it'll work for both lower and upper exercises. I really think that this is just going to change your training, especially as you get older and you're starting to have more elbow pain and you want to be able to connect with your muscles better and get better results. So make sure you give it a try. Remember to check out my programs over on Female Fitness Systems if you want some help with your training. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you catch future videos from me. And please hit the like button or leave a comment because that really helps my channel. Thank you so much for your support. Now, for those of you who are wondering why Nero didn't make his usual appearance, in the video today, it was really cold outside and he didn't want to get out of bed. So I didn't want to force him to get up and come and get on video. So what I'm going to do is leave you with a clip of him enjoying his warm bed and watching birds today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.